Hey guys, today we're going to do our Backwards Distilling interview part 1. In this, you're going to learn a little bit about the Backwards Distillery brand. You're going to learn a little bit about how they create their vodkas, the rum, some of the challenges with it. And I will drop the question, why vodka? The tasteless spirit. Why do you want to create a vodka? So here we go, and I do apologize for the audio because there's an AC unit in the back because it's Louisiana. It's like 100 degrees. So I did some filtering to try and make it so you can hear the voices, but this will be a part 1 of a multi-part series focusing on all the different spirits. So part 1 begins now. Welcome to Common Man Cocktails. I'm your host, Derrick Schommer. I've got with me Ian Andrews. I've got with me Chad. Chad is the owner of Backwards Distillery.
Owner and head distillers.
So what we're going to do today is just taste across the line and maybe learn something as we go. And I'm always into learning, so I don't know what type of knowledge you have learned through the process, but I'm guessing
interesting knowledge.
Well,
I've learned how to make alcohol, which I had no experience of before this.
So this is it? What inspired you to create a product?
Actually, our first what got me into it was absinthe. So absinthe was, I got a bottle when I was 21 and just kind of fell in love with it. Researched how to make it, the whole history behind it, and still haven't made it yet, but it's coming.
That's nice. It's sort of like the progression up to, because absinthe is kind of almost in the gin category almost, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit more proof. Yeah, a little bit more proof, and it has a little bit different production process. But being from Wyoming, absinthe would not really keep the lights on in our distillery, so we kind of had to start with some of the more standard products. And in order to make an absinthe, you have to know how to make the alcohol first.
Right. So that is okay. First off, we had this debate when I saw the labels. Why the circus? What's the deal with the circus?
So we've kind of always been into the circus as a family, and when we first were kind of looking at brand, how we wanted to present it, that was the natural choice. My sister and I went to circus camp when we were little, so we know how to juggle and ride unicycles and stuff. So we've always sought out Cirque du Soleil shows, gone to the circus. I actually have some, they're called Diablos. It's like a very bona fide yo-yo that I have in the distillery, and if I get bored and have a little bit of time, I'll just play around with that during a long distillation and roll around in a unicycle if I need to. So the circus, it just had a connection with the family and just really fun visuals and history behind it that we can kind of bring to life with the brand. So
speaking of cool visuals, the labels are really cool.
Yeah.
They really get that circus theme out.
Yep.
The whole Marvin Bailey kind of.
Yeah, and you guys probably saw on the back of the labels.
Each one has like a little secret character
back there. So it was definitely one of the more fun parts of the journey was kind of getting the brand, kind of having this abstract concept, and then finally seeing it come to life and become a physical.
How long did it take you from like when you decided you had this idea to like getting to where you are now?
We had this idea over beers, like all ideas, October of 2012. So that was the very initial idea. By February of 2013, we had our business license and our building, and then we were ordering equipment. But it takes about a year to get the stills and everything like that made. So it took about a year and a half before we launched our first product. The Backwards Ringleader Vodka came out December of 2014. So it was definitely quite a long build-out time, especially not having any background understanding of what was going on, and we definitely did.
What was the process of ramping up into getting? Because there's a lot of learning to do when you distill, especially manufacturing distilling. It's one thing to be a hobbyist, it's another thing to be a producer, right?
Yeah, it was definitely quite a challenge because, like I said, I was in physics when I was in school, so chemistry didn't work. So while I was waiting for that year and a half to get all of our equipment set up and everything, I was traveling all over the country, learning from some of the best people in the industry, working with other distilleries, and then I had a little 8-gallon still after we got our DSP that I was just running stuff on, trying to learn the concepts of fermentation, distillation, work with yeast strains, figure out how things work, and kind of get the finesse down. That stuff is definitely not my best work, but it's
this has metals.
Yeah.
So you went from never having produced a vodka to having a metal.
Yeah, it was. I would like to take a lot of credit for it, but our equipment definitely helps, and we worked. Like I said, I got really good mentors, people that have been in the industry for a long time. You guys heard of Cobalt Distillery in Chicago? His name's Robert Bernecker, and he represents the So learning from those people really allowed me to come and make high quality products. And we just won a gold medal at New York International Spirits Competition and a gold medal at ADI. So that was kind of exciting there for sure. Which is
Kind
really
of
cool.
validates everything.
It kind of validates everything and definitely made first medal entrances kind of a little stressful. My family, my parents especially, who are also my business partners, have very high expectations throughout school. If I came home with a B+, I failed, and so it was kind of like I needed to get those medals, and even now I get a silver medal, and my dad's not very happy with me. So
It's nice to set the bar there.
yeah, and kind of our philosophy behind all the spirits is we have for a bunch of booze as well that we like to always benchmark everything to before we launch it, and if it's not winning blind tastings with a new board of people, or at least consistently coming up as somebody's favorite, then it's not ready and it's not done. So having that to kind of put things in reference to what's out there definitely helps.
So everybody's gonna they know my stance on this, but why vodka? Like, it's highly competitive. It's nobody
Not
can
a lot of
see it.
differentiation.
Yeah.
Right.
Although, if I remember right, when we tasted this,
No, it was really.
Yeah.
it was differentiated.
But in general, it's the tasteless spirit that people are thinking screwdrivers.
Yep. And we actually have 2 vodkas now, which vodka's also the hardest thing to make. It's surprisingly the hardest thing to make. But yeah, it's the most competitive. It's already been oversaturated and premiumized. But for our drinking culture in Wyoming, we're behind the curve. There was no locally made vodkas. We were the first vodka made in the state, and it accounted for 40% of the drinking market. So
there's market research there.
there was market research, and for us it was like whiskey's the biggest seller in Wyoming, but right below that's vodka, and we couldn't just make whiskey. So we're making whiskey, but in the meantime we needed a vodka to pay the bills. This is still
So this is the
our
bill payer, and
best. Yep. This is what we like to do. This is what we have to do. I do enjoy the vodka, and I'm glad, because during that year of producing the vodka, I started to really like vodka to the point where every time I tasted a whiskey or a rum, I was just thinking that all the flavors were flaws. And it kind of drove me nuts, because I didn't like bourbon again for a while, so it took me like kind of retraining my brain to not be looking for the very pure. But to put it in perspective, to make a distillation of whiskey, and it's the hardest at the actual distillation stage to get it to the legal proof that you have to distill at, which is 190 proof. Whiskey distillation on our still takes about 8 to 10 hours, and a vodka distillation takes 50. So you have to run it really slow, really high proof. It comes off in a trickle, and someone has to be there the whole time. So vodka, and then of course we went and launched another one, which this one's a super premium vodka, has a little bit of flavor, old world style. Our other vodka is never going to be distributed. It's called 307 vodka. It's just a totally local vodka, still made from scratch, local ingredients, but neutral, clean, easy. It's basically our Tito's Fighter. It's sold for under $20 a bottle. So yep. So yeah, vodka.
Smart, man.
Yeah, vodka's just because we have to. It's definitely the thing that allows us to do this other stuff, especially while our whiskey's going. So my personal favorite thing to make is probably gin right now. Gin as a category is so open, as opposed to where vodka is so tight. You have pretty small window, and like you said, not very much difference between. I mean, there's nuances, which is interesting, but also at the end of the day, put it in a screwdriver and it's going to taste like a
Right,
screwdriver.
we've broken out many different vodkas. What did we do?
We did a Greyhound.
Yeah, it was
the
the Greyhound.
vodkas, and we did a 17 vodka
Yeah.
tasting.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't.
hard.
The vodkas themselves, you get spot specific ones, but once you put them in the Greyhound, there was one that it was the sweet potato vodka.
Yeah.
That was Corbin.
It's gonna have to be pretty funky vodka to be able to
Yeah.
taste. And it depends on the cocktail. You can get a little bit of ringleader from it, but once again, gin. We have 2 gins that we haven't made our second one yet, but super different concepts, totally different realms. This one's a New American style gin. It's way more focused on the citrus and the floral. The other one's like you get slapped in the face with a pine tree. I mean, it's exactly what I wanted from a gin, and it's Navy strength too, so it's nice and powerful. But you can do so much with it. It's I get online and go through my herb suppliers and just buy all sorts of weird stuff, and then I make a library. I distill it, I macerate it, I vapor distill it, and then can taste what these things taste like when you make them into a liquor, and it's way more fun for sure. It took us, this one took us 28 recipes before we actually settled on the contortionist recipe, and then it took 2 more reworkings after we went from small scale to big scale to get it back into the flavor. So it's definitely more fun. And then rum, I just do love making rum because rum's delicious.